we're going to start with questions today that I got. And, well, let's just get right into it. What am I saying? Okay. By the way, I got some great questions. Dear HB, we are in the final phases of making a decision on whether we're going to buy a used motorhome or a new fifth wheel. We've narrowed it down to two fifth wheels. Rockwood Flagstaff, which we have figured out through your channel is the same thing. And we also have it narrowed down to a Class A gas motorhome, something pre-owned around 2016 or 17. What we have found very interesting is the decision we're having to come to has to do with financing. My husband seems to think that we can get a 20-year loan on an almost 10-year-old vehicle. I don't think that's possible. If it is possible, what is the difference in the interest rates? So if I spend $75,000 on a smaller new fifth wheel, or if I spend $60,000 on a 10-year-old motorhome, which way is going to be more beneficial for me and my family? Hopefully you can give us some insight. My insight is this. First off, when you get past 10 years, it becomes very hard to finance them. 2015 or 16, you're still on the border. But again, you're going to be going down a credit union path unless you have a really big down payment. Okay. I did a video about this earlier in May where I was talking about, actually, I'm sorry, it was in April, where I talked about how the used financing has changed. I'm also going to talk about that on my monthly RV industry update video that's going to be released on Monday morning. So a little, what do they call it? Spoiler alert. You're more than likely going to get a 15-year term maximum on an older motorhome. You're also talking about paying a higher interest rate. Most of your credit unions right now have higher interest rates than the regular banks do. So if you walk into a dealership where they have, let's say, 6 prime banks to work with, which really they only have 3 or 4, but generally they're going to have a rate on a newer unit between 7.99 and 9.99, somewhere in that range with outstanding credit, depending on dollar amount financed, depending on down payment, things of that nature. If you go used, and you go that old of used, because that's in your affordability range, then the reality is your term is going to shrink down to 15 years. Now, how you can determine that is if you're ready, set to go, you shouldn't make it about the money at that point, because let's just look at it from this perspective, okay? So I'm going to go to rvtrader.com's loan calculator. That's my favorite loan calculator to use, even though sometimes I suck at it. Here we go. So this is where decision making comes into play. So let's say they charge you 11.99 with great credit because it's 10 years old. Okay, and let's say you're going to take a $60,000 loan out on this motorhome. You're talking about a $720 payment. Okay, well, let's say we get you 8.99, an average rate over 20 years on a $75,000 fifth wheel, payment $675. So realistically, you're talking about $45 a month more in payment to buy the used motorhome, but you're also paying on it less years. Of course, there's no prepayment penalty. Very rare does anybody actually pay the loan off on this thing. Okay, most people trade them in or sell them within 7 years. So the reality is, I'm not one to make decisions for people, but I hope that puts it in perspective, and I'll email that to you as well. But I hope that puts you in perspective. Like, you're getting a brand new coach for $45 more a month, longer term, or the motorhome, $45 more a month, shorter loan payment, and you're getting a 9 or 10-year-old unit. So just kind of keep that in mind. Also, when you guys sit down and make this final decision, the best way to make the decision is not the money. You already decided kind of where the money lies. The decision is, what do you want to tow? Do you want to tow a car behind the motorhome, or do you want to tow the fifth wheel behind the truck? That's how I look at it. Okay? That's how I look at it. Do you think tow behind RVs have many issues like frame flex? I just don't see many complaints on them. Well, Randy, here's the thing about frame flex / frame failure. This is mainly a fifth wheel problem. Okay, this is mainly and specifically guided towards one company. And what I should say is this: everybody has some sort of frame issue once in a while. It's not as Armageddon level across the entire industry as some influencers have made it to be. Hey there, guys. Hey, Pete, Lisa. It's not as big as it's made out to be. The problem is that this is concentrated onto one manufacturer. It's having the super majority of this problem. And because they were put on a pedestal, they are put on this pedestal being the best in the industry, okay, it's kind of like filtered down. And that's why, like, I continue to say that they need to step up and do some stuff, which apparently they're kind of doing. But we won't get into that today. I could go ramble on about that. The Gnome on Tour, the great honey badger. I am the great and powerful Oz. Okay, next question I got here. And I'm sweating, guys. It's super hot. It's been 107 all day today. We've gotten like no breaks from the heat. There we go. Dear honey badger, we are running into a very... Okay, I'm not going to repeat that word. Let's use a different word. We're running into a conundrum. We use that word. I'm trying not to cuss anymore. We're running into a conundrum. We keep hearing that used values went up the last 4 months. But when we go in to get a trade-in value, it seems like our trade-in value keeps going down. Can you kind of give us an explanation on that? Because we were not planning on actually making and pulling the trigger on a purchase until October or November, once we're closer to the election, because we figured we'd get a better deal. But now I'm starting to think that some of your videos and some of the things you say make my husband an idiot. Can you kind of give us an idea? Well, I wouldn't call you, and by the way, the word idiot, I replaced it. She actually used a different word for her husband. Look, there's a mentality with people. I always say this. You have to be ready, willing, and able. That's an old saying that's been taught to me and passed down to me by mentors I've had in this industry for almost now 15 years. So, if your husband is not willing yet, and his mentality is that he's got to wait until closer to the election because someone's going to get desperate and sell it to him for way less than anybody else will ever want to sell it again, that's a mentality he's going to have to come to the realization. Or there are some people you just can't speed up their process. There's some people that you're never going to get through to them. They're stuck in their ways. They're stuck in the way they're doing things. They're stuck in the way of their thinking, and that's the end. Now, what I would tell you is if I were to play the devil's advocate with your husband, I would say that dealerships are paying less for trades as the months go on because of the way the lenders are treating loans. They're all catching up to it, okay? So the longer you wait to trade in your unit, the less your value of your trade's going to be. All it's going to do is keep going down in trade-in value. And that is not because of what they call the black book. So what they were referring to when that question is you're referring to rvbusiness.com 2 months in a row now, or 2 book outs in a row now, say that the black book went up in value. Now, there are some states that use what they call black book, but the supermajority of the industry uses J.D. Power, which used to be the old NADA guide. J.D. Power, the values have pretty much stayed stagnant. So I checked this morning, and there's 3 or 4 units on the lot. One gained $100 in wholesale value. One gained $600. Another one stayed flat. It's nothing to write home about. Remember that rvbusiness.com, rvnews.com, they're a lot like a lot of other media outlets. They are literally a propaganda station in a lot of respects. Their goal is to try to help keep the RV business positive and keep positive news in front of people. Because when you read positive news about an industry, something's happening here, something's happening there, and you have 15 articles a day of nothing but positive, and pro RV business, it makes people feel better about spending their money. So even though it's not a significant, huge jump in what they consider the wholesale value, any bump is going to be spun as a big positive step. But don't think that's a trend that's going to continue to happen. You have to realize that you have to treat anything that depreciates, cars, boats, power sports stuff, RVs, anything registered by the DMV or whatever you call the DMV, that alone tells you it depreciates. And it depreciates at different paces. So in the RV business, it's about every 2 to 3 months. In the car business, it's every 2 weeks. In the boat business, I'm not sure. And then just to throw it out there one more time, hi, everybody. Let me finish my thought and I'll get to everybody's comments. And just a thought process, I just sold a Cardinal fifth wheel, 2022, okay? The people had pretty decent credit. Every credit union and every lender that we used on that fifth wheel wanted more down payment than the customer was willing to come up with. They wanted, and the people have good credit. They're not bad credit. They're not outstanding 800, but they're 740, 750. And the bank, when they want to put $5,000 down, the bank countered and said, no. Every bank did it. They want $10,000 cash down. Why? Because they depreciate. And when it comes to a used unit, they want you to have some skin in the game. So I would tell your husband, today and tomorrow and the entire month of June, your fifth wheel, your travel trailer, your trade-in of any kind is going to be worth more here in June than it will in September, October, November. It'll be worth more today than it will be July 5th. It'll be worth more today than June of 2025. It's going to go down in value. So just kind of keep that in mind. But then again, some people more care about the price that they're getting for the new unit. So you just got to decide what's really important to you. And that's literally ready, willing, and able. Any RV can have frame issues because of the condition of the roads. Absolutely, but it's predominantly in the fifth wheels, specifically Grand Design right now. Hey there, Kathy Conrad. How is it going from beautiful Idaho? All right. Next one. Got a lot of them. I can't get to everybody, but I got a ton of them today. Pardon me. One. HB. Hopefully this finds you good. We are in a little bit of a pickle and don't know really what to do. The dealership we have our toy hauler at, back up. Okay, hold on. Back up. Our 2024 toy hauler is inside the dealership shop. I had to take out the dealership and take out the customer's name. I don't like to give out people's privacy. The service department told us that the toy hauler is covered under warranty, but we need to prepay for the parts because they do not have the money to pay for the parts up front at this time, and the manufacturer requires that someone pay for the parts before the warranty is reimbursed. That's exactly how it was saying. Now, we think that this is a scam, that obviously Ford or Chevy or Hyundai or any of these car companies don't charge you for parts up front for a factory warranty. Can you kind of explain this? Because this is something that's a little disturbing. Okay, it depends on what's getting covered. Okay, so you didn't tell me exactly what was being done in the shop in that email. So it really depends. So if I have to go through Lippert directly to, let's say, do a slide out or do an auto level system repair or replacement, yes, they require the dealership to pay for the parts out of pocket, and then they reimburse you at the end with your labor and your parts costs. So the way it works with some of the, not just as manufacturers, but also some of the vendors, is like when I do, I just did this recently. We did a slide out job on a toy hauler, replaced a bedroom slide. And Lippert, we paid for the parts with Lippert. And then Lippert, I think like 3 weeks later, sent me a check for the labor and the parts. Now, you know, there's a lot of dealerships out there struggling. Maybe you have it at the wrong shop. Maybe, because again, you didn't put the brand of the actual toy hauler. Maybe the manufacturer, maybe it's a smaller manufacturer. What I would do if I were in your shoes is I would call the manufacturer themselves and say, hey, you guys approved the warranty work, but the dealership is asking me for money to pay for the parts. Is there any way you can ship the parts out for free to the dealership? I think I would work directly with the manufacturer on that since you already have the approval. They'll answer the phone. Everybody does. You know, how they treat you is a whole different animal sometimes. But for the most part, I'm going to say like 99% of people in the majority of this warranty departments are pretty cool people. So just give them a call. Well, there are exceptions, as a lot of people know in the audience. We're not going to get into that tonight. So, yeah, I will contact the manufacturer and just go, hey, somebody's trying to charge me for parts at the dealership and it's covered in our warranty. You guys already have given the approval. Is there any way you can ship the parts out for free? And just go from there. Just found out Progressive Insurance is well aware of the Grand Design frame failure and have discovered welds missing and broken frames. Well, there you go. Oh, then the plot thickens. The plot thickens. All right, here we go. Oh, this is a good one. Hello, Honey Badger. Me and my family are getting ready to full time. We're actually in the market for a used travel trailer. I have a half-ton truck, so I cannot go to a fifth wheel, or at least I should say I shouldn't go to a fifth wheel. We are looking for a bumper pull travel trailer that we can stay in with 3 kids, 2 dogs, and have 2 slides. So far, it seems like every one of the big monster trailers with 2 slide outs really shouldn't be towed by my truck. I've had half of the sales guys say they would never sell it to me because it's too heavy. And I've had half the guys that tell me, oh yeah, no problem. Can I get your, kind of pick your brain, because we really can't afford in the long run to have a truck payment and a travel trailer payment, especially with the interest rates they are, and still go across the country for the next 2 years visiting every national and state park we can get our hands on. What are your thoughts? My thoughts are you need to go to a smaller trailer. A lot of your big bunkhouse type travel trailers that have 2 slide outs are too heavy for half-ton trucks. Now, if you don't want to spend the money and buy a new truck, you can obviously go to your local truck guy who you trust and kind of figure out what upgrades you can do to your half-ton truck to make it tow one of those, 35, 36-foot trailers. Here's the thing I would tell you. Going down the road, so you're going to spend, I know it doesn't seem like it now, but if you watch a lot of the people who are in smaller vehicles across the entire YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all the platforms, if you look at all the families that are traveling around in travel trailers with half-ton trucks, they are mainly folks that are in like 27, 28, 29-foot travel trailers. And you see that the majority of what they spend their time with is outside. You don't see a lot of them being cooped up inside a travel trailer the whole time. Most of the filming, most of their YouTube channels, most of their TikToks, their Instagram reels, they're all outside doing activities. Really, they only use the inside for weather, sleeping, pooping, showering, all that stuff. I would look at more, this is just me, okay? If I were to send you down a direction, I would put you in, something that's like a Forest River Flagstaff / Rockwood, a Jayco Eagle, a Northwood manufacturer like an Arctic Fox, an Outdoor RV, a Keystone Cougar, something at that level, a Coachman Freedom Express, something at that level that's an ultralight that, let's say, is 30 feet, 32 feet total length, 1 slide. You guys will be fine. I'm going to tell you, the folks that love to have, I want the separate bunk room in the back. Well, that's cool. I think it's a really good concept. Let me tell you, I've lived in a 42-foot fifth wheel with my twin daughters and my wife. And I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, there's no privacy. There's no privacy. Okay? And if they were here right now, they'd tell you the same thing. There's no privacy in a 42-foot fifth wheel that's got 5 slides. So you can only imagine there's not going to be much privacy in a 36-foot travel trailer with a bunkhouse. Okay? So just stick to what you can do, and you'll enjoy yourself. I mean, especially you're looking used. So if you're looking for used, you got to narrow it down to size, price, size. If you're financing it, obviously you want a lower payment. That's why you're buying used. But look for something that's a little more upscale as far as quality build. And at the end of the day, do what works for your family, for your guys' adventure. That's the most important part. I always say this, the most important part of your RV journey is the actual journey itself, not your coach. Your coach is the vehicle that gets you to the journey. It is your companion on the journey. But if you stubborn out and say, I'm only going to do this and this specific thing in this specific way, and you're looking for the unicorn, you'll never find the companion to go on the trip. So, try to just focus in on that. Howdy from Iowa. Hello, Truckee Media. Well, some of the outdoors RVs are half ton, but you can go to some of the Arctic Foxes, the Cougar, Keystone Cougars, Forest River Flagstaff / Rockwood, Coachman Freedom Express. East West, I think, has the Delta or the Alta, whichever is their fiberglass. You've got, you got a million of them anymore. You got Surveyor by Forest River. Jayco Eagle. You got a bunch of them. But again, something like you're looking for use. So AJ is in the house. That's right. All right. Next one. Oh, this is a thank you one. Dear HB, my wife and I just purchased a Grand Design Solitude fifth wheel. Yeah, you can give us crap about it. We understand. But realistically, we want to thank you because there have been so many people on the internet that don't really talk straight to somebody. You get to run around a lot at dealerships. I've been to 5 different RV shows, been talking to 20 different people about every brand, and everybody seems to think they're the best. Well, coming to your channel, it helped me kind of put things into perspective. So we made a list of things that we did before we actually took possession of our Solitude fifth wheel. We, number one, went and got a third-party inspector to double-check the frame, double-check the slides. We even made it a part of the deal with the dealership that they had to be weighed before we took possession of it to verify that the weight was correct. And the weight was almost correct. It was only 48 pounds heavier dry as it sat than what the sticker said, but still it was a little heavier. We know that in the future there may be problems, and we know what to look for. For a lot of people, I don't think they'd understand that the reason why we did buy the Solitude is because of the floor plan. It had some things in it that every other manufacturer didn't have in the actual floor plan. We looked everywhere. We looked at Riverstone. We looked at Brinkley. We looked at Redwood. We looked at everything that you said and that you mentioned. And we still, unfortunately and fortunately, came across the Solitude. But we still want to thank you because we believe that your information that you put out there is very helpful. And for everyone that sits and makes nasty comments on your videos, I hope you ignore them and I hope you don't let them get to you. We wish that more people in the industry were like you. As much as just less cussing. Just less cussing. Yeah, the finance guy that we dealt with at the dealership said, wow, you guys are real easy to work with. We got the extended warranty. We got a great interest rate. We got everything that we needed. We feel comfortable. We're ready to rock and roll. We're even going to put some upgrades on the fifth wheel, even knowing that we're going to avoid the frame warranty because we believe it'll last longer. We're going to put independent suspension. We're going to put a Gen Weiss hitch. We're going to go through all the DIY stuff that people talk about to make sure that we can make this fifth wheel last us at least 10 years. Because that's about all I'm going to have in me, I think. We're going to be going on a 10-year journey across the entire United States and Canada, slowly but surely, one state at a time, enjoying adventures. And hopefully by the time we get back, we're both still here, and we're both 85 years old and ready to go into a home. But we want to get these last 10 years while we still feel good and enjoy ourselves. And we probably wouldn't have done it if we didn't come across your channel or your podcast. We have been searching for 3 years, and every day we always were willing to give up. But because of you and your channel and your podcast, we were able to do this. Thank you so much. And we'll always be listening and always be following and always be talking about you. And eventually I'm going to send you a picture with our new sweater we bought. Thank you. Oh, I get about 10 of those a day. You know, I know you guys don't realize this, but I get probably 10 of those a day, and they something similar to that. And don't think I don't read them. I do, and they keep me motivated to keep doing what I'm doing. So, yeah. I need a minute. Hold on. Oh, I haven't read that one yet. Okay. Whew. Let's go to the other email. Okay. What the heck is that? Okay. Oh, next up. Full time. Here we go. HB, hello. I've been watching your videos over the past few months and really appreciate the shared information, primarily about quality and finance. I appreciate your direct candor also. My wife and I are not RVers yet, but we intend to. I have a racing background, so I have spent a lot of time living and working out of buses, motor homes, race trailers, etc. That's badass. That's cool. But never owned anything personally. We started our shopping journey looking for tag campers for weekend getaways, and through this process, we now have the ambition to go full-time with the goal of having everything set up by August 2024. It's August this year. During this process, we haven't given much consideration to financing since both our credit scores are pretty good. No late derogatory items, 768, 749, and together we make about $165K a year. We aren't rich by any means, but we can certainly afford a decent unit within our budget. We do not own a home and have rented the same home for the last 7 years. I've been on the same job for almost 9 years, earning between $90,000 and $120,000. My wife has worked for, we'll leave the company out, since 2021. I make the larger portion of our income, but have some tax issues I need to resolve. My wife makes about 50, good to go with taxes. We would really like to purchase a 2023 or 2024 Jayco North Point 390 CKDS, and they are advertised around 88 to 122 grand, depending on, obviously all the features and models. If you're wondering why they're that wide range, because there's so many packages with Jayco North Point, folks, just to let you know, like there's full, I mean, you get one for like 87, 88 grand, but it won't have full body paint, won't have a lot of these other things. Common sense told me to put the horse before the cart, so I started shopping for trucks. One of your recent videos suggested not to purchase the truck first, so we reached out to a credit union that advertised full-time RV financing. We all know who that is, the Alliance Federal Credit Union. We were outright declined. They asked us if the loan app was for full-time, and we said yes. They also asked what our current rent rate was. Below are formal reasons why we're declined: lack of real estate secured loan information, too many bank cards, and high balances compared to credit limit. We use 2 credit cards. Okay, hold on, let me get through this. Lastly, when we were at the Florida RV show, all lenders there said no one offers full-time financing anymore due to some laws and restrictions that make it unfavorable to the lender. This is true. Yet the one we applied to, Alliance Federal Credit Union, was advertising it. Thank you for your time. I know it's a lot of info, and I appreciate your time. I want to be fully open and transparent in hopes you might have some sound advice. Okay. So, complicated. Okay, so you still stay at the house. Okay. So here's a cheat code. Here's the cheat code. The cheat code is, how do I put it? I just read, you know what? I just realized, thanks, Itzamia. Itzamia is right. I already have read that before. They wrote another one to me. That's what happened. I'm a dummy. They wrote a second email to me. I just happened to read the first email that was from April. Good memory, it's Amia. It said that the response email that was sent to me a couple days ago says, hello again, I hope all is going well and you were able to enjoy the holiday weekend. First, I would like to apologize for not responding when you first read and responded to my email below on your podcast. I listened to all your podcasts and videos. We followed every point of advice you suggested as a result. I can now say we are proud owners of a 2024 North Point 390 CKDS. Holy cow. The finance manager we worked with agreed with everything we did. And I must say it was easier than buying a car. We located the model we wanted, walked it Saturday morning at 11 a.m., and by 3 p.m. we were signed and official, taking delivery in a month. Now I have to go find a good used 1-ton dually. That's a whole other task. We got it for $103,000. I'm sure they made some money, but I thought it was a fair price considering. We got a decent rate, 8.99. That's pretty good, especially since I only put 10% down, which is $11,000. I wanted to share the update with you, but more importantly, I would love to give you a huge thank you, sir. Oh, wow. I could have easily purchased the truck first and found another way to jeopardize or negatively affect our purchase experience. You kept us in line, we followed your guidance, and I couldn't ask for a better first-time experience. You don't know what you don't know. Anyhow, take care. We'll keep watching, and maybe I can stop by and meet you if we ever make it out west. Wow. Wow, that's cool. Oh, man. Where are the questions? You guys are going to start, people are going to start making me tear up. Oh, enough of that. I'm not supposed to be emotional. All right, next one. There we go. All right, dear HB, 2 quick questions for you. Number 1, we have a Toyota Tacoma. It's a 2017. According to Toyota, we can tow 5,000 pounds, but according to my research into my gear ratio and into the package I bought, I can tow 6,500. Who would you believe more, my research or the manufacturer of the truck? And part 2 is, do you recommend that we get, if we have an off-road package on our truck where we have off-road tires and put some upgrades to make it a little higher off the ground, would you recommend ordering from the factory an R-Pod with the Beast Mode package? Specifically, we're looking to see if there's any changes to 2025 year model. First off, I would believe the people who built the truck. I would believe Toyota before I believe anything on the internet if they physically directly told you that's 5,000 pounds. Also realize when you put like a lift, when you do certain things to a truck that are not factory, it usually affects your tow capacity. So I would be more inclined to say 5,000 pounds would be a good tow capacity thought process. As far as an R-Pod and the Beast Mode, if you have the truck lifted already, you're probably going to want the Beast Mode package because it sits higher off the ground, and you're going to want the ground clearance. Here's what I'm going to tell you, and this is another cheat code for everybody. RV dealerships across the United States and even up in Canada are struggling. It's a struggle. It's a battle. It's a daily grind. And I'm going to say there's going to be the majority of the industry is going to make it out of it fine. There's going to be folks who don't. Okay? You're going to get a better deal and a better price on a 2023 or a 2024. A 2025 more than likely is not going to have a lot of changes. There were really no changes from 23 to 24. I highly doubt they're going to make even more changes. Because when a manufacturer outside of a select one or maybe two, and you can get my sarcastic hint on who I'm talking about, outside of a couple folks, they don't really change things every year. They change things every 3 to 5 years. Because again, there's a process in engineering, there's a process of changing things with the vendors, things of that nature. They might change the color of the cabinetry, they might change the way the door handles or the drawer handles or stuff like that. So if it's sitting on a dealership lot, you're going to get a better deal than if you order it from the factory. And if you're waiting for 2025 year model to come out in July, August, whenever they decide to do that, you're going to cost yourself some money, especially the signifying that they're going to probably try to make maximum profit, probably a 30% margin on an order, while dealerships are still doing like, yeah, I know people don't believe me, but look, if you were sitting next to me here at the dealership, I could show you the profit percentage and you guys would throw up. You'd wonder why my boss wants to stay in business. Well, that's because we're just going through a rough patch trying to make it up on volume. But, the normal day, if you can make 8 to 10% on your margin, that's a good month where the dealership can make a little bit of money. The owner can pay his bills. The dealership can pay their bills. Right now, it's significantly less than that. But if you start trying to order 2025s, they're going to try to hold all the money they can on it. So try to look for a 2024 or 2023, and that would be better off for you. Okay. Let's see. The best RV for a family of 6 is one that's in your price range, your budget range, and that it's all up to the money at that point. I mean, little mama bug, it's all about the money at that point. It's what you can afford. At that point, once we know what you can afford, then we can kind of give you a hierarchy. If you send me an email and kind of give me a budget, are you a travel trailer, a fifth wheel, a toy hauler? You give me something, some of those parameters, I can help you, give you a list of things I would look at. Yeah, it's me. I thought you were psychic too for a minute there. Hi, Scott Farr. Oh, with 6 beds. That's funny. Awesome. Always good to hear some having good buying experience. Just get another truck. I had an off-road Tacoma and soon realized it wasn't enough unless you're by yourself in a tiny RV. There you go. It's good advice, Chaz. Do you like motorsports? I do. I like racers. I like Can-Ams. I love dirt bikes, stuff like that. My off-road Tacoma towing was 6,500 with a payload of 950 pounds left of level. Crap. Hi, not TTT Pig. How you doing? All right. Got enough time for at least 2 more. Okay. Dear Honey Badger, I have a 2-part question. Part 1 is it worth waiting for our credit score to come up to get a loan? It seems to me like the difference between good credit interest rates and bad credit interest rates are not that far separated like they were, let's say, 4 or 5 years ago. I just talked with my brother who has a really good credit, and his interest rate at his credit union was 11%. The dealer got him 9.5%. But when I looked at what they offered me 16% interest at the credit union and 15.95% at the dealership. It just seems to me the gap isn't really as big. Would I be better off just buying now and refinancing later, or do you think it would be worth it for me to rebuild my credit first? Okay, so this is a double-edged sword question. So in order to build your credit, you have to have new loans. So I'll give you an example, guys. So when you file bankruptcy, back up for a second, breathe. I know this is my forte, but breathe. Okay, so I deal with what we call the 3 M's. I've dealt with them for a long time. That's Merrick, Medallion, and Marine One. They work directly with dealers only when it comes to loans. And they're that 12% to 19% range bank. Average is about 15.95. They deal with credit scores from 575 to about 730, 740. They deal with the bankruptcies. They deal with repossessions. They deal with all that stuff, okay? But there's requirements. I'll give you an example. Let's say you filed bankruptcy 4 years ago, okay? Everything before the bankruptcy doesn't matter. It's what you do after the bankruptcy. So you need new loans to get an RV loan. We just did a loan like this in April. I had a bankruptcy that was 4 years old. He went and bought a car after a year, made 2.5 years of payments on it, paid it off. He also had a second car loan, which probably means he traded it in. He had a second car loan that was a little bit more money, had some money down, had a paycheck stub, W-2, had all the right stuff. If we waited for him to build his score back up from, let's say, 640 all the way like 720, 730, the only thing that may have changed was his rate may have gotten a little bit better, and he may have gotten a longer term. But here's the interesting part, and this is what I tell folks. If you can qualify for the loan now, and you can make the payment and still use the rig and not be sweating like me about whether you can put food on the table, absolutely buy the rig now at the higher rate and keep making the monthly payments on time, pay off your debts, make all your payments on time. And when the interest rates start going down in 2 years, ain't going to happen this year, probably not going to happen probably till, let's say, earliest end of next year, if you listen to the pundits and the economic experts, then you can always refinance it through a credit union, and by then your credit score would have built and your credit history would have built. Once you have that recreational loan under your belt, it makes it easier to get another one. My buddy Doug, when I was working in California at a dealership, we had a guy who had a 17.95% interest rate on his travel trailer. He traded it in 2 years later. His credit score boosted to 740. We got him, I think it was 699 on his fifth wheel, or 6.5, something like that. So big gap between the first RV and second one. So those are the type of things I would say. It's a double-edged sword, because if you wait, you're waiting a while, and a lot can change in a year to 18 months. A lot can change. Unless you want to pay someone to rebuild your credit faster, what they call a rapid rescore. Very interesting. Got on late. What are the chances manufacturers use disc brakes on trailers other than the crappy drum brakes? I don't know, Scott. That's a good question. I mean, I think they're going to keep the electric braking system they've been using for 40 years so far, because that's what they feel works. It's, was it been 40 years they've been using the same electric braking system? How are you doing, Mr. Cooler? So, I got time for one more. Okay, dear Honey Badger, we wanted to give you a little background on what's going on with our Grand Design Solitude fifth wheel. So we bought a Grand Design fifth wheel in 2019. It was brand new. We're the first owners. We have gone through every process of having to get the frame looked at, because we are having major frame failure and frame flex on our fifth wheel. It has gotten to the point where my husband has contacted Grand Design on several occasions to tell them that if they want it fixed, or if they want to fix it, they're going to have to come and actually pick it up, because he doesn't feel comfortable driving it. A lot of it has to do with the fact that we almost got into a severe accident. Thank God the semi-truck driver that was next to us passing us on the highway was really experienced and was able to avoid us. But it's become a real major problem. The reason why I'm reaching out to you in this email is because I want to let you know that after almost 18 months of battling them, we finally are getting rid of this thing. We actually found a way to get rid of it, and we're actually going to take a break for the next 6 months. However, we're going to be moving out to Nevada pretty soon, probably around Reno or Las Vegas. We like the fact that we don't have any income tax in Nevada, while here in New York, it's a lot higher. I want to say to the general public that don't give up when it comes to problems. If you keep calling and you keep making noise, even if it's a quiet type of noise like we were making, eventually things will work out. Now, I don't know if this will help anybody, but just continue to make phone calls every single week and sit on the phone. If they hang up on you, call them again. If they hang up on you again, email them 4 or 5 times. Be the bug, be the pest, and eventually they have to actually pay attention to you. It's the same thing we went through with our lemon law that we did on our Ford F-150 back in 2014. We had to keep screaming to high heaven very quietly. We're very easygoing people, but my husband was on the phone 4 times a day for a month until finally somebody woke up and said, these people are not going away. If we all band together as consumers and just stick together, we will be able to accomplish wonders when it comes to problems. But I do believe you. When you tell me and tell the world that the as you call it, Armageddon level issues are not as big as the impact on the entire industry as it's made out to be on the internet, I absolutely 200% believe you. We have gone now to several grand design rallies. We've gone to several campsites. We've gone to several places where everybody congregates. We have several friends and family members that are in the community and in the lifestyle. And I will say, if I talk to 100 people, 99 of them say they do not have major problems. So you are right. And if it wasn't for the fact of all the ignoring of people's problems on Winnebago's part, this probably wouldn't have blown up as big as it did. I just want to let you know you have our support 100%, and we'll be watching and paying attention. And we keep telling people about you when we're on the road. Well, thank you. Wow. Oh, boy. I'm getting sweaty and hot. Okay, let's see. Who else we got here? Say someone was looking at new fifth wheels, $150,000 to $200,000, big down payment with a higher rate versus holding it cash and financing more for the lower rate than maybe really pay off. Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I mean, when you get to AJ, when you get to $150,000, $200,000 financed, the rates are capped out, usually around 7 to 8% for really good credit. So it really doesn't matter at that level. You're going to need a big down payment anyway. I wouldn't throw cash. I mean, I'd throw 20, 30% down, but I wouldn't, going further than that. And remember, cash is really a repayment system, in my opinion. It's a repayment system. It doesn't have any value. Gold, silver, platinum. And this is how I keep telling people this. I know it's really hard to understand, but if an EMP attack happens tomorrow, everything that we consider valuable or monetary, like Bitcoin and silver and gold and cash and this and that, is worth, excuse my language, but it's worth dick. Okay? So debt is always a better idea when you're buying a depreciating asset. That's how the super rich do it. I want to thank you for all of your advice and all your shows as well. I just ordered my 2024 Wolfpack 315 12 Custom, got an interest rate around 8.12 with $6,000 down. That's pretty good. That's a really good rate, KC8 BFA. That's really good. It's about right. Any advice on going full-time for a motorhome from part-time use travel trailer? Like vacationing in the travel trailer. Longest was about a month, and I think we'll like full-time, but coach or trailer, I don't know. Josh, that's all on budget, brother. I mean, I'm going to tell you, if you got kids and they're hyperactive kids, motorhome's probably going to be better for you. If they're a little more grown, a little more patient, I could tell you, sitting on a boat with my daughters at 6 and 7 years old trying to fish is way different than when they were 10. When they were 10, it's like they had the patience of a monk. When they were 6 or 7, they had the activity of a freaking bee, like always moving around. Like every time they threw in their fishing pole, they're reeling it back in like 30 seconds later. Like, I got one. And then it's like at 10 years old, there was like this breathe. And then all of a sudden, they're catching more fish than me. So, I think it really depends. I mean, if they're hyperactive, you're going to want you're going to want the motorhome. If you don't have kids, yeah. So, yeah, I'd look motorized first. And then, if the kids are a little less tempered and a little easier to deal with, then, yeah, go with the fifth wheel. Oh, yeah, get a motorhome, definitely. Yeah, there you go. Too many YouTube creators are not interested in both sides of the story. As an ASE certified RV repair tech, a little detective work brings out the real story on many factors of the failure. This is very true, Kenneth. That's very true. And I agree. There's YouTube. Again, it's about clout and it's about money. And there's just YouTube itself. Okay, so I was listening to a podcast yesterday evening, and I got so into it that I forgot to record my Friday podcast episode. I listened to this guy for 3 hours, and I didn't even realize that 3 hours went by. And he was talking about that YouTube is more than likely going to be a $6 to $7 trillion business as far as ad revenue over the next 5 years. That's worldwide. That's not just here in the United States. That's a worldwide number. That $7 trillion of ad revenue will flow through YouTube. So I want to give you guys a quick split, okay? So the way it works is YouTube gets 55% of the revenue. We get 45% of the revenue, okay? So let's just say that's 700,000, that's 70 million. So it's $7 trillion, and he times it by 0.45. That means that $3.1 trillion of ad revenue will be divided up amongst influencers and YouTube creators over the next 5 years. Put that in perspective for a second, okay? So you have to look at, and this is the way I look at YouTube in our industry, in this community. We have obviously the sunshine and rainbows guys, right? The corporate RV dealership YouTubers. We all know who they are. In fact, I found out 2 of them actually follow my podcast. Wahoo! Thank you so much. Actually subscribe to my podcast, surprisingly. One of them is, anyway, won't go any further than that. Don't need to. They have something that I don't, and that is the corporate sponsorship side of it, okay? I bet if we lined up our ad revenues together, all of them, I bet you per 1,000 views, I make more money than they do. Not overall, but by views, because I talk about financial aspects, banking. So a lot of the ad revenue that comes to my channels comes from credit unions, insurance companies, things like that. I've noticed that. People have told me every single day that Navy Federal Credit Union keeps popping up on my channel when you're watching regular videos. Because I always ask some people, because I'm curious, right? Who advertises on my channel? Anyway, then like Progressive Insurance and stuff like that. Then there's the darker side of the industry. And the darker side is your people that think everything is garbage, everything is crap, everything's just annoying, everything's, bad. It's like bad politics, It's like everybody that attacks Donald Trump for 34 convictions. It's everybody attacking Joe Biden because he's tripping and falling before he gets into Air Force One or sniffing some girl's hair or whatever they want to say. That's that side of people. Those side of people, the majority of their revenue comes from ad revenue on YouTube. They don't have the big corporate sponsors. They don't have well, number one, it'd be tough for a corporate sponsor to want to be on their channel. It's tough enough for them to want to be on my channel, as an example, just because I talk about both sides. So the reality is that $3.1 trillion of YouTube money, everybody's trying to grab their part of it over the next 5 years. So I don't know if that made sense to anybody, but that's kind of like give you a little insight into what I've kind of found out about YouTube. And then TikTok's going to get bigger too, guys. I mean, my TikTok channel, which I mix a little bit of the podcast and the regular channel on, 35,000 followers. It gets the same amount of views as my regular YouTube channel and only makes $100 a month. But it's like TikTok's going to grow. They want more 10-minute videos. I mean, they keep pushing my content out because I do 5 to 10-minute videos. There are videos that I do on walkthroughs where I get 30,000 views in a day. While YouTube, I'm like at 500, 600, 700, but it builds. So YouTube is more like the long game. Like it continues. Like if you look at a lot of my walkthrough videos from 2 years ago, a lot of them had 10, 11, 12,000 views. And the newer ones are still at 600 or 700 because not everybody's interested in that. But if you go to the finance videos and the update videos are more direct, quick. Now, this is the information you need now, the information you're looking for now. So there's a little difference in all that. It is. And, I'm going to be very frank. My titles have gotten a little bit more clickbaitish because I'm trying some new techniques to get people to click on the video. But it's not clickbaitish where it doesn't give you like a false sense of what's going on. I'm also working on thumbnail design and stuff like that. So it's gotten very interesting. Anyway, that's it for tonight. Hopefully everybody got to kind of participate in some way. Let me turn off Rumble. Again, one thing I would say is if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, I really want to reach 100,000 by the end of the year. That is a long shot of me doing that. That means I got to have 10,000. That means I have to get 18,000 subscribers a month till the end of the year to hit 100,000. Don't think that's going to happen, but it would be nice. I'm still setting that goal. Don't forget about the merchandise store. If you guys want to pick up your shirts, hats, everything's going to basically go towards the channel. I got to buy a new laptop to edit videos. So next person that kind of, as soon as I get that money, I'm going for it. So, hey, thank you guys. And you know what? Have a great night, and we will talk at you guys next Saturday, 7 p.m. Pacific time.